I'm sure Triple H is happier running NXT instead of a company called ECW, even though it would have never been the original. But still, they could have made WWE's ECW like NXT is today, and it would have fucking worked. Imagine, instead of takeovers, you could have named all the special pay-per-view events. You could have took the ECW pay-per-view names over and ran pay-per-views. Heatwave, Guilty as Charged, Living Dangerously, November to Remember. Those could have been like takeovers if they kept the ECW brand around. But it was so damaged and the fans didn't give a flying fuck. They had to get rid of it. The ratings probably got really low too, I believe, on Sci-Fi. The only good they did on Sci-Fi was debuting Kofi and Sheamus on the ECW brand and pushing John Morrison and CM Punk. Having breathing problems again. I don't know what it is, dust in the air or something. Who the fuck knows? But my basement is pretty fucking clean. Anyways. What was I saying? CM Punk, Morrison, Sheamus, Kofi got their start in WWE's ECW. That is the only good thing about it. Number 7, the Sandman. Fucking, the guy had a failed run in WWE. And he was never going to be pushed, ever. He basically was used as a mid-carder for the Big Show to beat up all the time. That was it. He got one ECW title shot, I remember, against Big Show. That was a fucking disgrace. And that was a spit in the face of original ECW fans. You made the Big Show the world champion. Nothing against the Big Show. But at the time, the guy was really out of shape. Looked like he didn't care. Looked like he didn't want to fucking be there. And it was just a fucking god-awful, stupid idea for Vince to make Big Show the world champion of ECW. Right after RVD was stripped. Or RVD, I believe, lost to Big Show. Just because he was pulled over and they found pot in his car. Who gives a fuck? To me, pot is not even a drug. And I don't even smoke it, and I never will. But I support it being legal. Number 7, the Sandman. The guy did nothing. And WWE did nothing for that. The only thing he did for him is get a pop. That one night stand by the original ECW fans. That's all he's good for, a good pop. On the main roster, WWE's ECW, and then I believe he went to Raw. No one cared. Number 6, Sabu was brought in again because to give him probably a good contract to come in for the WWE's ECW brand, but his run was a failure. His biggest match, I would say, was against John Cena at Vengeance. That was pretty good. It was a good match. Sabu Rey Mysterio, One Night Stand 2. One Night Stand 2006. That was a really good match for the World Heavyweight title. That was a fucking dream match, in my opinion. It was really good. That was really good. Rey and Sabu, I believe, might have been the first time ever they ever met. Sabu then feuded with the Big Show, kept jobbing him. At SummerSlam 2006, ECW on Sci-Fi, Sabu kept losing to the Big Show. It was fucking sad and embarrassing. I liked Sabu. I liked him in WWE's ECW, but they did nothing with him. They didn't use him to his full potential. They didn't book him right. Booking him to lose the Big Show was fucking stupid. That was stupid as hell. So number 6, Sabu, the guy had a failed WWE run. What's kind of funny, he had a tryout He actually got a tryout match they put on WWE Network in, I believe, 93. He had a tryout. Number 5. Not number 4. Number 5 failed WWE run, Brad Maddox. I guess I think he's part of NXT, I believe. I think a pro or a rookie, I don't really fucking care then. I think he's in NXT a little while. Then Brad Maddox, I believe, was on the main roster, wrestled like once, barely wrestled at all. Became the GM, I think, or became a temporarily GM, part-time GM. I didn't care. I never ever cared for Brad Maddox. I thought the guy's boring as fuck. And I thought he's a boring wrestler. He wasn't interesting. He couldn't cut a good promo, and he was just boring. So his WWE run was a fucking failure, in my opinion. Number 5, Brad Maddox. His run was worse than the Sandman's, Sabu's, Mr. Anderson, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham. Brad Maddox was awful on the main roster and in WWE because the guy was so fucking boring. He could have been number 1, but he's not. Number 4. I don't like putting this guy on the top 10 failed WWE runs, but I say he was a failure because he never was Intercontinental Champion. Never was a tag champ. Never was a world champ. And he was good enough, in my opinion. In 2000, he was good enough to be world champion or intercontinental or tag. But they never let him. Number 4, failed WWE run, Raven. In the WWF in the year 2000, he came over. He, I believe, gave Jerry Lawler a Raven effect, DDT. I was kind of excited. I popped. I marked out for it, but then they fucking did nothing with him. The most Raven did in WWE was Hardcore Champion. He had a really good match with Rhino at Backlash 2001, and that was the best part of his WWE run. He also faced Tommy Dreamer a couple times, like they were feuding on Sunday Night Heat. I was also excited about that. But that was it. He was gone by 2002. He left. And pissed off Raven, motivated Raven, went to TNA, and he did fucking well. In 2003, 2004, Raven did really fucking well. And 2005 became NWA World Champ. But TNA should have pushed Raven a lot more than they ever did. He should have defeated Jeff Jarrett. I would say he really should have in like 03, 04. So number 4, Raven in 2000 in the WWF. Because they did nothing with him until 2001 when they made him, oh my God, what an accomplishment. They made him a hardcore champion many times. And I'm not putting Raven down. I love the guy. I loved the Raven character. The guy's a great mind for wrestling, a great fucking mind. I wish he was booking. I wish he was in WWE as a head booker of Raw. Because he would do good shit. But they don't want to hire him. I don't fucking know why. Vince, you need to wake up and hire the best minds that know wrestling. The best minds for wrestling. Good wrestling minds you should be fucking hiring to write your shows on Monday and Friday. Bruce Pritchard is not a great wrestling mind. Raven is a lot better and would be I think a great booker and a great writer for the shows. Or a great head writer, whatever the hell it's called. I thought Heyman was good. But Vince, I'm sure, didn't let him do everything he wanted. So, But and look, who's come up with Raw Underground in this group? Retribution, I don't know. I think Shane McMahon is behind the Raw Underground idea, and I like that idea. Retribution, I don't fucking know yet how I feel. I just think it's pretty fucking nuts. They pulled out a chainsaw. That was pretty fucking entertaining to me. So, number 4, again, Raven in 2000. Number 3, the Honky Tonk Man. I said in failed WWE runs, but this could be failed runs in all of wrestling. Honky Tonk Man is number 3 in WCW. In 1994, the fucking Honky Tonk Man shouldn't have been wrestling, shouldn't have been in a major company, and he was. I believe he's even WCW TV champ. What the fuck? He shouldn't have been there. I guess Hogan brought him in because they're boys or they're friends. Number 3, failed run, the Honky Tonk Man in 94 in WCW. It was god awful. He did nothing good. He didn't have any good matches. Johnny B. Bad had to fucking carry him. Number 2, and Honky Tonk Man in WWF, I thought he had a good run because he's booked the right way. Number 2, Shane Douglas in the WWF in 1995. This guy is a former world champion in ECW. Was the franchise of ECW. The top guy in ECW. Threw down the NWA title. Made himself the first ever ECW world champion. Shane Douglas was fucking great in ECW. WWF, no. 95, they absolutely butchered him. Screwed him over, gave him a god-awful gimmick. I guess the Clique really fucked with him. Played him like a fiddle, backstage politics, all that bullshit. But, Shane Douglas, I like the guy, but in the WWF, his run was a failure. It was a failed run. It was not memorable. It was a laughing stock. It was embarrassing what they did with Shane Douglas as Dean Douglas. Even his gear was embarrassing. It was like baby blue with a question mark. Made him look like a fucking dork. It got awful gear. Number 2, Shane Douglas. In 95, going back to the WWF. He was there actually in 91 for a little bit. In 1990 for a little bit. Number 1 failed run. Probably in all of wrestling. Not just WWF, WWE. Number 1 is Lex Luger. Going to the WWF in 93, 94, 95, he was there and he was boring as hell. He did nothing. Never became a world champion. Never became intercontinental or tag team. So his run was a failure because he did nothing. I guess Vince really realized he was useless by WrestleMania 10 because they didn't put him over Yokozuna. Vince put Bret over. And that was the right decision. Because Bret Hart, I was never the biggest fan of Bret Hart. He was never my favorite wrestler. But even I would book Bret Hart a million times over Lex Luger as my top guy. Bret Hart a million times a better wrestler and worker than Lex Luger. Also a better talker. So, yeah, number 1's Lex Luger. The guy should have won the world title, but he was such a failure. I don't know why he didn't. I guess the boys backstage said they were going to walk out and quit. That could be a rumor. If Bret Hart, or if Lex was going to get the title from Yoko at SummerSlam 93, I heard a story all the wrestlers were going to quit if Vince didn't give the title to Bret and not Lex. I don't know if that's true. It could be. But Lex got a fucking monster push to become a babyface, body slamming Lex Luger on the USS Intrepid ship on July 4th. The crowd fucking loved it. I loved it as a kid. I thought it was awesome. And it still was a great moment. But it was a failure because he never won the big one. Never won the world title in WWF. And number 2 and number 1 of my top 10 failed WWE runs, number 1 and 2, both guys, Shane Douglas, Lex Luger, are former world champions. And look what they were in the WWF. Their runs were failures. And it's not all their fault. I blame Vince with how he booked Shane Douglas. And I guess Shane Douglas was an Intercontinental Champion. But then he lost it really quick. Like, I think the same night he got it. He lost it to Razor at In Your House. I think in like October or September 95. Lex is, I don't know, Vince loved him. Vince thought he's going to be the new Hulk Hogan. I don't know how, but he did. Vince pushed him like crazy. Remember the Lex Express? A funny story, I was on a freeway once in 93 in the summer. I think I was going to Six Flags with my aunt and some family. I was on the freeway and I saw the Lex Express actually pass me. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was 9 years old, so I was excited and I popped and I marked out in the car because I think I was yelling like, "What? That's a Lex Express, that's a Lex Express." I actually saw the fucking bus in 93. It's probably leaving Illinois because that's where I was headed, to Six Flags in Illinois. So again, hope you enjoy my new countdown, top 10 failed WWE runs, WWF runs. Number 1, Lex Luger. Big time failure because he never became WWE champ. Bye for now, everyone. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would appreciate it.